Hello, this is Margaret Ajibode, the STEM Positive Disruptor. And today on Maya's conversation, I have a special guest, Daniella Sladen. She is the co-founder and CTO of Zulu Pods. What they do is they have changed the approach to fluid delivery for critical mechanical applications within the aerospace and defense industry, which she will tell us more about. And today we want to be able to educate, raise awareness, change perception, demystify what STEM is and who works within our industry and the types of role that is within our industry. And so I'm so grateful and so appreciative of Daniela coming on board and just having a conversation with me today. So again, without further ado, welcome, Daniela.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem at all. So please tell us more about you and what your company does.
Okay, so Zulu Pods is a company I started with my husband about 4.5 years ago now. And what we do is we specialize in precision fluid delivery systems. And that stems from just our backgrounds. We're both aerospace engineers. We worked in the field. And, um, an analogy that I give sometimes is when if a car was to go only 1 mile, it would look very differently and be designed very differently than a cars that we drive around in right now. And that's kind of where the idea of Zulu Pod started. If an engine is meant to go short distances and the mission is shorter, why is it being overcomplicated with an overcomplicated lubrication system, which is something that we've worked on?
Mhm.
And why wouldn't it just be supplied with a burst of oil in a pod, similar to like a Tide Pod for a jet engine? And
Indeed.
that's how it started.
Great. Do you know, it's impressive. So, and both of you are aerospace engineers. So, why did you decide there was a need for your business to start off? Why? What was so
Mhm.
critical about that?
I think it started with what we knew and where we came from.
Okay.
What we knew were the engines that we worked on, lubrication systems. I personally saw how complicated it was, designing, redesigning, moving one thing. It's this big, bulky, connected system.
Mm,
We went from, a connected system to a decentralized, one-time use system.
mhm.
And I think it stemmed from what we knew at the time and our experiences up to that point. And in doing that, we started talking to, different people in the field, other customers, and this technology of precision fluid delivery
Mhm.
kind of grew arms into, well, can you use it for this application? Like a backup system for helicopters, for example.
Mhm.
If they were in the event of loss of lubrication, this pod could give that burst of oil for the helicopter to land safely.
Mhm.
Um, and that's where, it started growing into other applications.
Wow, that is so impressive. I do love because you're an engineer. You started off that was your journey, and now you're a business
Yes.
owner as well, co-founder of Zulu Pods. And there's so many young people who want to be able to sort of see what is available for me, and that sometimes they're not really sure, especially where females are come from, where engineering is concerned, and in looking at they may say, I do not want to always be an engineer, but can I combine my
Hmm.
technical skills with other
Hmm.
skills and to make me grow? So, because that's what you did. And, I do love your energy. I do love what you're doing within the aerospace and the defense industry. And are you mostly based in the US or do you have other branches or are you expanding slowly?
We are based in the US currently.
Okay, yeah. And
Mhm.
so, thank you. And so, how would you be able to share that? Because I know one of the cultures of, so, how would you be able to explain to a female the journey, or it doesn't have to be a female, any young person really, because what you're doing is great. You saw a gap, and Zulupod is now the bridge between, what the needs were, and you've now brought that cohesion together. So, what would you say to anyone who's aspiring to be an engineer or looking at they're already an engineer looking for promotion or I don't know, leadership positions,
Hmm.
anything that would help them to just look at things in a different way to just as it is.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me was, engineering. is so technical. And when I started my job, I started as a structural engineer. So that was like very analytical thinking, very technical. And you start to think, maybe for my master's, would I want to do something on the technical route, or would I want to go somewhere like more of like the business route? And that's where I decided to get, my MBA. So I think that's a super
Mhm.
powerful combo, is having a very analytical, critical thinking, background paired with, the other side of your brain, like maybe like the business part of it. And
Yeah.
that really opened up my eyes, to think in another way, because in engineering school, or even as a, entry level engineer, it's so technical. It's so like one track minded on numbers and data and simulations and formulas. And you don't really think about how you fit in the big picture of business.
Mm,
So once I started taking those business classes, my mind really, I felt like it went from here, and it started like opening up
yeah.
to other possibilities, other ways of thinking about the big picture. And that really, I think that really helped me think about, oh, maybe we could turn an idea, even in aerospace, where you think, oh, it might be hard to start a business in aerospace, into, from idea, executing it to like a real business.
Mm,
So I guess opening, if you're like a really technical engineer, opening your mind up to, well, how does this fit in the bigger picture of the business of where I'm working, or the industry? I think that helped me think about business versus just technical, just analytical. Um, yeah, where do you fit in the puzzle of the company or the industry? Uh,
mm.
that helped me.
Okay. Because I mean, I'm just going to go back slightly because again, I know everyone's different and everyone thinks differently. Their approach to life is different, and so you may have sold things in a different way to other people, and sometimes, especially when young people are coming up, they do not always know what they want to do. They
Mm,
do not always know how they're going to fit into the bigger scheme of things. So what would you advise someone to do in relation to that?
I think I can relate to that, like even before, like starting my journey in college. I came in as undecided as a major. I didn't even know I wanted to do engineering. I didn't even know what engineering was really. Uh,
Mm,
I just knew that I wanted to do something in science or math. I wasn't really good with reading or writing. I was thinking, okay, something in math, and then I just looked into it, and I looked into what majors there were possible jobs that I could get, and then I chose engineering ultimately. But I'm circling back to your question. Could you repeat it?
what advice would you give to someone who's not really sure how they're going to move forward?
Okay.
Okay, yeah, because like you talked about, looking at the bigger scheme of things, but not everyone can see that when they're starting off,
Mhm.
or even if they're
Mhm.
in the industry already, they're not even sure. They just want to go to the next stage, they just want a peaceful life, or they want a promotion, but they don't know how to go about it, or leadership opportunities, or maybe move away, but still make use of some of their skill sets as well.
Mhm. Well, I think I would say finding I think that's why role models are so important. Finding someone who inspires you, who you think like, "Oh, I'd like to do something like that," or finding your why. Like what is it that they would want to do? Um and start finding people that do that, and have
Mm,
conversations with them, or see if you can have them as a mentor, learn
mm,
more about what is their day to day, what is their journey, how did they get there, and see if that lines up with your values and what you want to do.
mm,
um, and see where you can go and make it your own, like your own journey based
mm,
on, where you want to go, and seeing other people's journeys and how they got there, and how that could inspire you to do it your way, because everyone has a different journey and everyone does it differently.
yeah.
um I think I would say that.
Indeed. Well, thank you for that because it's quite interesting because about you understanding what is your value systems. That makes a big is a big deal. because then
Hmm.
you make some informed decisions of where would you fit in. But every person's driver is different because you have your early stage career, you have your mid stage career, and you have where you are at a higher stage, and then you think to or senior stage, and you wonder where I'm at. So can I just go back slightly to your company because you have a culture or you talk about a value system, and you have these lists. You've listed quite a few numbers. Integrity is quite a big thing. So why do you think it was so important for a culture to be right? Because it's about both your the partners within the organization. This is what
Hmm.
drives us forward. This is what we are all about. So whoever comes into my company will see that in our behavior, in our speech, in how we
Yeah.
live, do things.
Yeah. So I think first that was something that was well thought out by the founders and the people of like the company, and we make sure that that's something that we live by and something that we would truly like our company culture to look like,
Mhm.
and we hire by those values.
Okay,
And that I think that comes from also like previous experiences in maybe the combination of other company cultures you've worked with.
sure,
And with that experience, you kind of come out of it knowing like, if I ever started my own company, I probably wouldn't want to do it this way. I'd want it to look like
sure. That,
XYZ.
yeah, yeah, of
And that's how
course.
I think a combination of the company really and all the founders and the people who started it,
Okay.
what would we like our dream job or company or culture to look like? And then really coming out with, five is what we picked out, five values, and really sticking to that in as the common thread of the way we move and the way we operate as a company.
Wow, that's impressive. I'm assuming that it's not just two of you. There's how many people started the company? Is it about five of
Yeah,
you?
there's five founders.
Oh, no wonder. Five values in relation. Okay. So
Uh-huh.
I was thinking about, and I was viewing your website, and I saw yeah. So I thought I wasn't
Team.
sure. I just wanted to make sure I got that right because sometimes
Mm-hmm.
the what's on the internet is not it's completely contradictory to what's really real. So I just wanted to confirm that. Well, thank you so much for that. So really the reason why we set up this platform, we want to celebrate people that work within our industry. I also want to celebrate because of your background. You're a minority among a bigger scheme of things, and you talked about role models, and you are a role model. You're a powerful role model. You show what's possible, and I want to celebrate that because there's so many young people coming up, people that look like you, look like me, that will say, "Hold on a minute, if Daniela could do this, surely I can do this." And you talked about the importance of role models. Role models are so key,
Mm,
but it's sometimes so difficult to find them because sometimes you don't really know where to go or where to look because it's so vast, and also sometimes the role models that are presented to you do a specific job, so you don't sometimes you may not relate to that job, and sometimes you
mm,
want to find the diversity of people that work in our industry to do that. But I think you did make a good point. Having the right role model or seeing one who can then tell you their journey, and then you can see how you can relate to that journey and help them to and help you to make some informed decision makes a huge difference. So I am so grateful to you, Danielle, that you've come on and just to tell us about what you do and how you got on, and just the fact that you guys are working together and you find, you are driven, you're passionate about what you do. I do like your strap line. It's engine lubrication for the modern world, that for the company. And I thought, wow, okay, this is like changing the way we look at things, lubrication, engine lubrication as a whole. And I think that's so important. So, I'm just grateful that you are who you are, and I like the fact that
thank you.
there's a message you left when you did a conversation or an interview with AWIS, and you said, "I want to be able to show my daughter what's possible." Why was that so
Mm,
important to you?
I think that was important because uh being in this journey as, a minority and a woman and a woman minority,
Mm,
you already start feeling like you're left out or you're the small percentage.
mm,
It can be intimidating.
yeah,
Um, but then when you become a mother, or at least my experience when I became a mother, that like feeling of feeling, you know, the as the minority grew. Like almost like I felt even in a smaller minority. Now I'm a mother
Wow.
too, you know.
Yeah.
So, some things change when you become a mother, and maybe
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
work culture could change or perceptions can change the way
Yeah.
people may see you.
Yeah.
And I just thought like, well, no, I can't let this change me. I have to make sure that that became my why, like
Yeah.
now I am a mother and that's part of my title, but that doesn't take away from who I am and who I am as an engineer and as a career person.
Yeah, yeah. Do you
Hmm.
know that is so, so important. That's so powerful as well. But it seems like as females, we seem to have that issue. We always, I don't know, for some reason, we want to be the best at everything. And sometimes we have, I never thought about it that way, where you have a child and you felt even more vulnerable in
Hmm.
that state. But then again, you flipped it on its side and said, no, this is going to be the reason why I'm going to keep driving forward because I want to
Hmm.
show her what's possible itself. So, how old is your daughter, if I may ask?
She's 6.
Oh, okay. She knows what mom does. That's really great. So, so what are the issues? So, in your journey so far, and I know this company's been around for nearly 5 years now. So, what are sort of issues that you seem to have come against, and how have you been able to deal with them as you went along, apart from being a mother?
um let's see. You mean issues like
Work-wise or just in general? Because sometimes we not sometimes we are very strong as women. We are very strong. We're quite focused when we need to be. But there's sometimes there are issues that may have arisen, and it's how did you get around that? Was that easy, or did
mm,
you need to you were able to fall back on your husband where you had that support system around you?
I guess one thing that sticks out to me when you ask that question is maternity leave, right? Maternity leave
Mm,
in general, like
mm,
going out for maternity leave and then the transition back to coming back into, entering the workforce it can be tricky for people because you're out for a certain amount of time, taking care of a baby, and then you come back 100%. You have to go back and get into work like nothing happened.
mm,
And I think that experience, left me feeling like I think that we could do this better. So that's something that, we implemented a parental leave at Zulu Pods where you get 18 weeks of paid leave, but you
mm.
also have pre-birth leave because before you have the baby, you have doctor's appointments. You want to set up the nursery. There's so
Of
many things
course.
that you have
Yeah,
to
yeah.
do
Mm,
to get ready. So it's
mm.
a big life change. So we have pre-birth leave, maternity leave, and then post transition back. Like you may
Oh.
not be able to come back
Mm.
100%. So there's a flex time to transition back. And obviously you're given grace because I remember what it was like.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
sometimes people forget that we're still human and we're still going through, changes. And that doesn't take away from me as an engineer or a person.
Mm,
I can still,
mm.
we can still get the job done.
Yeah,
But just like if anyone was coming back from surgery, you would require some modifications. So
of course, of
that's what
course.
we did for Zulu Pods and in our policies.
Well, that is great. And I think companies can learn from that as well, because I think there's a big stigma around that. And I think there's lots of issues, but I think there are lots of things have improved. And I think in a
Hmm.
way, what you're also saying is that because of your personal experience, you were able to find a way to make it work better for mothers coming back, or even fathers as well, because
Yeah.
they
Hmm.
also
Parental
need,
leave. Yeah.
yeah. And
For
so,
both.
and I think that's so so important. I think this is very important for us as in the STEM world or company wise in itself
Yeah.
to show that this is so important that we should not forget that this is once upon a time, there used to be very fixed roles about the male and the female, but that's different now. We all work, we all have to work, we have to do things we have to
Hmm.
do. And so that means we need to adapt, we need to change to suit what's going on in our world today. So thank you so much for that. I'm really appreciative of it. Again, I'm saying that I'm celebrating because again,
Thank
you've
you.
achieved so much. What your company's doing within the aerospace and the defense sector. It's just amazing. It's you're breaking down barriers. Putting all those things that seems impossible becomes more possible. And it seems that people have engaged and bought into the idea. And you're doing great things as well. So I'm really appreciative of that. So finally, what would be your last word to anybody, especially females, ethnic,
Hmm.
minority females that are looking to do what you're doing?
I would say don't be intimidated, even though it can feel intimidating. You can feel like maybe if you're in a room, a conference room, and you're the only one that looks like you may not want to raise your hand. You may not want to speak up, but do the uncomfortable thing to speak up and raise your hand and share your thoughts because your experiences may be different and you may have a different perspective than all 99% of the room, but that may be the one issue that you need to troubleshoot and solve. And you may be the only one who's seen it because it's your
Yeah.
experience may be different than 90% of the room. So I would say, or it may spark something else in someone else. And it that's like an effect that could happen. So I would
Mhm.
say share the thoughts because it's valued and it matters because you have a different perspective than everyone else.
Indeed. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. I'm really grateful for that. So yes,
Thank you.
yeah. Well, thank you. So thank you very much. I mean, yeah, I want to say more, but no, I think it's quite sweet and short, but it's also telling us, it's celebrating you, but also telling us what are the things that you've done to enable you to be where you are. And also, it also shows the need for us to be aware that as parents as well, we do need the workforce or the work environment needs to be aware and be alert to the need to adapt and make things much easier
Hmm.
for the transition to come back into work, especially where parents are concerned and when they need to take time off. Be understand it's not really because they want to take time off, but
Mm,
there's an urgency for that, and we should always take heed to that. So yes,
yes.
well,
Yes, of
thank
course.
well, thank you so much. I really
Thank
appreciate you
you.
taking time out to talk to me. Thank you.
All right.
Again, thank you very much. This is Margaret Ajibode, the STEM Positive Disruptor, and my special guest, Daniella Sladen. Oh, she's amazing. I'm celebrating what Zulu Pods are doing in the aerospace and defense environment right now. They're doing great things. You should look out for her. She's one to watch, and she's one of the great leaders of the future as well. And also the fact that she is someone you can relate to too. So again, I just want to say thank you. Please, if you like this podcast, please share with your network, spread the word. Let us show people. Let's celebrate who our industry. Let's celebrate those that work within our industry, and let's make the difference. Let's be the difference that we want to see in our industry too. So thank you very much.
Thank you.